You better wake up. The world you live in is just a sugar-coated top of the real world.
You keep your eyes open. They're everywhere. Chances are you've seen them yourself and didn't know it. Depends on how
When Blade hit theaters in 1998, it marked a turning point not only for Marvel adaptations, but for the superhero genre itself. At a time when comic book films were struggling to find their identity, Blade arrived as a dark, stylish, and unapologetically mature action-horror hybrid that redefined what a superhero movie could be.
Directed by Stephen Norrington and written by David S.
Goyer, the film introduced audiences to a world lurking beneath the surface of modern society, a world where vampires secretly controlled much of the human world, and one man stood between them and total domination. That man was Blade, the Daywalker, portrayed with unmatched intensity by Wesley Snipes. His portrayal became instantly iconic, merging martial arts mastery with stoic charisma and relentless determination, creating a hero unlike any other seen on screen at the time. The story follows Blade, a half-human, half-vampire warrior who possesses all of a vampire's strengths, but none of their weaknesses except for the thirst for blood, which he battles daily, using a serum to keep it at bay. Born after his mother was bitten by a vampire during pregnancy, Blade dedicates his life to hunting down and destroying vampires in revenge and protection of humanity. Operating from the shadows of a corrupt city, he teams up with Whistler, his trusted mentor and weapons expert, played by Kristofferson. Their relationship forms the emotional backbone of the film, a hardened father figure guiding a tortured soul through endless battles. Together, they wage a secret war against a hidden world of bloodsuckers that manipulate humans from behind the scenes through money, power, and fear. The film's antagonist, Deacon Frost, played by Stephen Dorff, presents a striking contrast to Blade's controlled fury. Frost is a young, ambitious vampire who rejects the old traditions of the vampire elite and seeks to overthrow their ancient order to become a godlike figure. His goal is to awaken La Magra, the blood god, through a ritual that requires Blade's unique hybrid blood. This sets the stage for a brutal conflict between the disciplined hunter and the chaotic visionary, each representing different sides of the same monstrous coin. The tension between them builds throughout the film, leading to explosive confrontations filled with martial arts combat, cutting-edge weaponry, and groundbreaking special effects that still hold up remarkably well today. From its opening scene in a blood-soaked nightclub to its climactic final battle, Blade delivers an atmosphere dripping with gothic style and relentless energy. The now famous blood rave scene, where unsuspecting humans are drenched in showers of blood as vampires feast, immediately established the film's tone, gritty, daring, and visually arresting. It was a perfect fusion of late 90s cyberpunk aesthetics and horror imagery, giving Blade a distinct identity that set it apart from any other superhero film of its time. The action choreography, heavily influenced by Hong Kong cinema and martial arts films, showcased Wesley Snipes' real-life combat training, resulting in fights that felt fast, fluid, and brutally efficient. One of the most remarkable aspects of Blade's success was how it brought comic book heroes into a more adult-oriented realm without losing its mythic core. The film didn't rely on camp or humor. Instead, it embraced a mature tone, presenting its world with straight-faced sincerity. It was violent, moody, and stylishly cool, creating a new path for Marvel characters in cinema years before the Marvel Cinematic Universe even began. This darker, more grounded approach would go on to influence countless superhero films in the years that followed, including projects like X-Men and The Dark Knight, which borrowed Blade's formula of realism blended with fantasy. The cinematography, led by Theo van de Sande, painted the film in hues of shadow and light, mixing urban decay with sleek vampire architecture. The use of reflective surfaces, neon glows, and gothic interiors created a sense of elegance that matched the tone of the story. The soundtrack, mixing techno, industrial, and hip-hop beats, captured the energy of late 90s nightlife while reinforcing Blade's edgy persona. Each fight was choreographed to pulse with rhythm and momentum, making the combat sequences as much a dance as a duel to the death. This careful balance of style and substance helped Blade stand out as not just an action movie, but a cultural statement about reinvention and resilience. Wesley Snipes' performance was at the heart of Blade's impact. His portrayal combined stoic heroism, underlying emotional pain. Without needing long monologues or dramatic speeches, Snipes conveyed a world of conflict behind Blade's cold stare. He was a man haunted by his mother's death, his unnatural nature, and his endless mission to destroy the very creatures whose blood runs through his veins. Every movement, every glare, and every perfectly timed one-liner became part of what made the character unforgettable. Snipes didn't just play Blade, he was Blade, and his embodiment of the role became so definitive that it's hard to imagine anyone else capturing that same energy. The chemistry between Snipes and Kristofferson gave the movie an emotional weight that grounded its supernatural chaos. Whistler's gruff wisdom and fatherly care added humanity to Blade's cold determination. Their scenes together, often set in the gritty workshop filled with weapons, blue flames, and machinery, created a sense of realism within the fantasy. When Whistler's fate takes a tragic turn later in the film, it adds a raw emotional depth that fuels Blade's final mission and cements the film's heart beneath all the bloodshed. The film's visual effects, though made in the late 1990s, were groundbreaking for their time. From the vampires disintegrating into ash upon death to the transformation effects during the ritual scenes, Blade showcased a level of technical innovation that was rare in superhero cinema back then. The finale, where Blade faces Frost in a blood-infused showdown, blends practical effects and digital work in a way that still feels visceral and impactful. Even though technology has advanced since then, Blade's climactic battle remains memorable for its creativity and sheer intensity. When Blade was released, it wasn't just a hit, it was a revelation. Many viewers didn't even realize it was based on a Marvel comic, and that helped it reach audiences who weren't typical comic book fans. It combined the style of a vampire horror film with the structure of an action thriller, bridging genres in a way that made it accessible and exciting. Its box office success proved that superhero films could thrive when treated seriously, paving the way for Marvel's eventual cinematic dominance. It was a financial and critical win that gave confidence to studios that there was an audience hungry for darker, more mature comic book stories. Blade's cultural legacy extends far beyond its initial success. It became one of the first modern comic book movies to feature a black lead in a major superhero role, and it did so with confidence and power. Blade wasn't a sidekick or a background figure, he was the center of the story, the one with agency, style, and strength. His presence on screen represented a moment of change in Hollywood, showing that diversity and bold storytelling could exist at the heart of blockbuster cinema. It opened the door for more inclusive superhero stories in the decades that followed. The influence of Blade can be felt across generations of filmmakers and fans. Its aesthetic has inspired everything from video games to television shows, and its DNA runs through the veins of nearly every modern action superhero film. The way it balanced horror, mythology, and martial arts became a blueprint for blending genres successfully. Even its simple concept, a hero walking between two worlds, remains timeless. Blade's struggle with identity, morality, and vengeance is as compelling now as it was in 1998. Behind the scenes, the film's journey to the screen was not without challenges. There were doubts about whether audiences would accept such a dark and violent film based on a relatively unknown Marvel character. But the creative team's dedication, combined with Snipes' commitment to authenticity and his physicality in every fight scene, proved that vision and passion could overcome skepticism. The result was a film that not only exceeded expectations, but changed the landscape of superhero storytelling forever. Even decades after its release, Blade holds a special place in movie history. It stands as both a time capsule of late 90s style and a timeless reminder of the power of originality. The film spawned 2 sequels, further expanding its mythos and laid the groundwork for the modern superhero renaissance. Fans continue to celebrate its blend of atmosphere, action, and attitude, keeping Blade alive as a cult icon who never truly fades from memory. Every rewatch reminds viewers of how ahead of its time it was, how it dared to embrace darkness when others played it safe, and how it set the stage for the cinematic universes that dominate today's screens. Blade didn't just fight vampires. It fought for the future of comic book films, proving that bold creativity could break through expectations. With its unforgettable characters, thrilling action, and gothic world, Blade remains one of the most influential and enduring films in the superhero genre, a masterpiece that still cuts deep with every strike,